Welcome, one and all, to the Newark Collabcast, a show where the partnership is the secret sauce. This podcast is a production of the Newark campus, which houses both Central Ohio Technical College, or COTC, as you might be familiar, and the Ohio State University at Newark. My name is Blake Baker. I am the host of today's episode, and also the marketing writer on campus. Our marketing and public relations team is cost-shared, meaning we all work for both institutions. A half dozen other departments on campus operate the exact same way, and largely that's been the case for the last 55 years now. Perhaps none of those departments more directly affect a student's experience on campus than our friends in the Office of Student Life. Whether a student's looking for student orgs, basketball courts, mental health support, or help joining the workforce, the Office of Student Life delivers. They provide students at Ohio State-Newark and all 4 COTC campuses much needed resources and a sense of community. Our 3 guests today all work in the Office of Student Life, so you can call them student experience experts. And we've got tons to discuss with them today, so let's get to it. Jumping in with John Davenport, COTC Dean of Students and Ohio State-Newark Director of Student Life. John, welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here, Blake.
Next up, Amanda Wasser, the department's office coordinator. Amanda, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
And completing the crew is McKenna Finley, Student Activities Manager in the Office of Student Life. McKenna, we appreciate your participation as well.
Thanks, happy to be here.
All right, you three. So not only does the Office of Student Life function exceptionally well as under a cost-shared approach, I would argue it must take a cost-shared approach. And from my experience here on campus and the conversations I've had with you all during that time, I think you'd all make that argument too. So John, as the department leader, let me ask you this. Why is it essential that the Office of Student Life here at the Newark campus be cost-shared?
Blake, I think it's really in the title. We're the Office of Student Life. Being a student at either institution, it doesn't matter because you're a student here and we're going to serve you and support you. I know when this institution was put together, one of the things some of the founding folks in this community wanted to do was make sure that we had a place that people who were part of both campuses came together and had a great experience. And so for us, in some ways, it makes it easier because our role is making sure all of our students have the best time possible. We don't worry about different academic guidelines from one institution to the other, financial aid from one school versus the other. We can just work together and make sure that the experiences, programs, and events we put on for all of our students are top-notch.
Yeah. It's probably easier that way, but it also just makes total sense, right? It probably wouldn't make sense the other way, in fact.
I can't imagine how other folks do it. And if you look at some other campuses who are situated similarly to us, they're not like us.
Yeah.
They do try to split those hairs. And I know from experience that it doesn't work. I think in a lot of ways, we are a beacon that a lot of other cost-shared or shared campuses across the state really need to be looking to.
The beauty of the cost-shared relationship here, to piggyback off of what you said, is that the quality of these student-centered services is not at all minimized by the fact that these resources and staff are combined by the 2 institutions. In fact, doing so actually enhances what the Newark campus can provide. And by serving every single student here and everything you guys do, I would argue that your department perfectly exemplifies that idea. There are so many aspects of this campus that fall under your supervision. I think a fun way to go through it would be to kind of follow a quote-unquote life cycle of a student's experience here on campus, and also how the Office of Student Life enables each step of that, each stage of that cycle. To me, we'll start with what I think is one of the most interesting aspects of your department's reach on campus, and that's the on-campus housing. I think it's mostly handled by the Columbus campus of Ohio State. There are a handful of COTC students that live on campus too. I just think it's really interesting that a campus of this size even has that option available. We don't have to dive too much in that specifically. I know you all don't deal with that on a nitty-gritty basis on your day-to-day. I just thought it was a really cool tidbit to mention, putting the students right in the middle of what happens on this great campus. Regardless of where students live, once they're here, there are significant celebrations and traditions that await them pretty much right away. For Ohio State-Newark students, that starts with convocation. Amanda, I know you're involved in that event each year. Why is convocation special, and how does it celebrate first-year Buckeyes?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been dealing with convocation for 3 years now. It's a really interesting day because it's all first-year students, and you just see this horde of these students that you probably won't see them all ever again, but to see them all at one place is really It's hard to describe the experience. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And I've seen this Convocation Day develop over the last 3 years. It's changed so much as we continue to develop and add new things to celebrate our students, especially our new students. Last year, I think, was the biggest event, and it was so fun and chaotic.
Yeah.
We had food trucks and we had tabling events. And I know I was in the gym for the majority of the beginning of Convocation. So they walked in, they got T-shirts and bags. We also had the big Block O picture attempt that you can see in the Warner Building.
Successful attempt, mind you. Yeah.
But to see all of those students go over there and try to make this O was an interesting thing. We had the DJ. And the other really cool part, too, is watching all of these students walk across the bridge and receive their tassel from faculty members. It's really a great way to welcome them to campus and say, hey, we're excited you're here. We know most of you won't finish with us, but we want you to enjoy your time while you're here. And then they get to walk around and meet student orgs and departments and have all their resources right there.
Absolutely. The day to really kick off their tenure here, whatever that looks like. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you mentioned the horde of students. That's truly, I would say that's a very accurate term. I think it was 1,300 first-year Buckeyes this year.
And probably a little bit more. One of the things we say, Blake, I'll jump in, is that is probably the only time that entering class will be together. Convocation is probably the only time that we will have the entire incoming class at the same place at the same time receiving the same message. So that's a big responsibility we're proud to be responsible for.
Yeah. And I would call it overwhelming, not in the sense of a truly chaotic or stressful, but more, emotionally overwhelming a little bit. It's very cool to see that in practice. And McKenna, just like me, this was the first time that you have experienced a convocation this past autumn. What went into planning a celebration that could accommodate 1,300 brand new Buckeyes?
Yeah, this was probably the first big task I took on in my role. This was my first year on campus. I was planning the post-convocation social. So like Amanda said, the food trucks and the tabling and the games after the actual ceremony itself. So a lot of that logistically at the beginning was just figuring out, what our student population typically wants and is interested in. We brought back food trucks this year and the same DJ that we used last year. So a lot of it is, tradition. I'll tell you, though, watching the students walk across the bridge, I just kept waiting for that line to end, and it went on forever. I was so shocked. But yeah, it was a great time. It was so fun to be involved in that, to see the students really get engaged with the resources at that resource fair. You anticipate a certain level of ambivalence when you say, here's, all the resources you connect to on campus, but that wasn't there. They were all really engaged and ready to be involved, and that was awesome to see.
Yeah, very validating. I think it came together very well from my perspective. Awesome. So Convocation is in August, every August. A couple months later comes Ohio State Homecoming, which brings not just the tradition that we touched on, but also Buckeye pageantry and pride that we all love. And that celebration is not just reserved for Ohio State's Columbus campus. So John, what does homecoming look like here at Ohio State-Newark? How can students participate in that yearly celebration on this campus?
One of the great things about this system at Ohio State is we have some traditions that are linked and connected, but each regional campus has the opportunity to kind of put their own personal spin on it. And so all of the regional campuses elect a homecoming court and send that court forward to be recognized with the Columbus court. And so all of them come together. And then those students have a phenomenal experience. They get to have dinner at the president's house. They get to have an opportunity to participate in the homecoming parade. So all of the traditional things, the court themselves kind of lead our students through from the minute they're elected to the minute that they get to the actual homecoming football game, where they get the chance to come out onto the field and be recognized for the entire by the entire Buckeye world that is there, all over 100,000 folks that are there that Saturday. But for the rest of our students, what we want them to do, we'll have tons of giveaways that week. We'll have ways to get involved, to connect it with things that are either happening on the Columbus campus or versions of those things that are happening here. It's a ton of pageantry. We really want every student to know that regardless of which campus you're on, you are a Buckeye. And so we try to do our best to kind of make sure that permeates the entire Newark campus.
Yeah. That's very well said. I like the way that trickles down to the regional campuses, and you get a chance to represent it at the big, Ohio State, the big Block O celebration. You're right there in the mix. I think that's really awesome for these students to experience. Now, on the COTC side, when it comes to things like convocation and homecoming, it's nothing exactly equivalent, really, to help welcome COTC students and celebrate that tradition. McKenna, how do you all ensure that COTC students are still welcomed and celebrated in a similar way?
Yeah, that's a big thing that we talk about in our office is how to make sure that the COTC students know that they are just as welcome here. The post-convocation social is absolutely open to COTC students. We had several that came through. But as we're looking into the future and thinking of more ways to celebrate those students and welcome them to campus, we are thinking about a similar event that is specifically for the COTC students that has, the music and the food trucks and the games, and is also probably more family forward and inclusive since so many of our COTC students are, in a different place in their lives and have families that they might want to bring with them to celebrate their, start of their education. So that's definitely an event we're looking at for the future. There's also other first-year traditions that are very much for both campuses or both schools. So the Source Fair is our first-year resource fair that happens towards the beginning of the year every year so that we can connect them with their student organizations, on-campus resources, as well as some of our local off-campus resources that might be useful to them.
Okay.
We also have a lot of Welcome Week events in that first week of class that are for everyone on campus. Also, looking out through the future, we're talking with the Ohio State side about something called the Licking County Learning Lab.
Oh, yeah.
Which involves the Works, DAWs, and Earthworks, which helps our first-year students get connected not just to our campus, but to Newark as a whole, because we have some really cool things in our community that I don't think a lot of our students are aware of. And so bringing awareness to those organizations and how we can get connected to them, that's definitely just as much for COTC as it is for OSU students.
Yeah. Wonderful. I'm glad you touched on that too. A good tease. I think we'll have an episode about that down the line once things are a little more established too. I know that's kind of in the works right now, so stay tuned. It's very nice for students to feel celebrated, but it's really necessary for them to feel supported here on campus. Colleges, it can be a trying time for many people. There's a new environment, new responsibilities, just new things on your plate generally, and that means that mental health support becomes a serious priority. Amanda, how does the Office of Student Life support students with mental health needs? And can you describe the process of matching a student with the right resources for their individual situation?
Absolutely. So I've had the pleasure of working closely with our counseling department since the beginning of my job almost 4 years ago. We have, for the Ohio State side, we have You Will. This is a 24/7 free resource for students to get access. Say it's a Saturday, 11 o'clock at night, and they need to talk to somebody. Ohio State students can log in and make an account and talk to somebody through You Will. Another resource that is pretty brand new to us that we're rolling out, it's completely free for both sides, COTC and Ohio State, is Now Matters Now. So this is a DPT type of therapy webpage where people can go and sign up and talk in groups. They can talk to individuals. There's a lot of really good videos to help people. Those two resources are really nice to have when we're not available. So during holiday breaks, after hours, on the weekends, a mental health crisis doesn't just happen between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, certainly.
So we want to make sure that we have resources out there for our students to have access. For them to get connected with a counselor, it's actually even easier than it used to be. So now for students to get access, all they have to do is either call our office or fill out a form online on the website requesting an appointment. I then reach out and get them scheduled with one of our 3 counselors who are amazing. We email them. They click a few buttons to sign off, put in a little bit of information, and that's it.
Yeah.
Our counselors are very flexible and will sometimes change, like maybe their lunch or another meeting so that they can fit a student's time frame. The counselor then will determine what kind of resources they may need on or off campus. So if they need on-campus resources, obviously we refer them. We work really closely with disability services. If they need off-campus resources, our counselors are connected enough that they can send students off campus as well. So insurance is a good thing to bring up. You don't need it to see our counselors. It is 100% free and confidential. Students get 8 sessions a semester, which roughly comes out to about every other week. Counselors can add more based on discretion. When I was here as a student at COTC, I don't remember ever hearing about free counseling on campus. So to know that we provide this amazing resource that students can access very easily it's one of the things that gets me excited to come into work and help these students, because college is tough. Transitioning is tough, and we all have things going on in our lives that are tough. So to have this resource is really awesome. At the beginning of the semesters, we do what we call Latch Chat, where you might see a counselor sitting somewhere in one of the buildings and have snacks and things on the table. That is just a way for them to talk to students about what counseling is, or answer general questions, or sometimes get connected, things like that. In addition to that, we do what we call relaxation stations. This tends to be the favorite of students, where about once a month we set up in one of the buildings, and we just give out free fidgets. They don't even have to get signed up with counseling services to access this. They just come by and get some fidgets. Talk to our counselors, talk to whoever's at the table. Sometimes it's students. Sometimes our student employees will go down and help out with these as well.
Nice.
Charlie DePriest, who's our lead mental health counselor, he does REACH trainings. Students can participate in that. And REACH is just a way to be taught the signs of suicide and suicide prevention. All around, probably one of my favorite departments to work with.
Yeah.
The amount of help that we can give students in just little Newark, it's amazing. I've never heard of it anywhere else to be this thorough and in-depth.
Yeah. Smooth, simple process to get involved, and it's constantly evolving, I would say, too. Constantly growing to accommodate students. That's great.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned disability services as well. There's plenty of accommodations for students who have special abilities here on campus. John, how does your office empower students with disabilities to participate in education and university life with equal access?
And that's a huge thing that we're really proud of. And because there are federal and state guidelines of things that each institution must do. But for us, that's the bare, the bare minimum. That's the floor of the things we try to do. But after that is where the real service begins. And our folks go above and beyond. They do initial intake with the student, talk to them, and find out, okay, given the things that you need, these are the ways that we can assist you. Everything from note takers in class, sign language interpreters, providing some technology that will help students either interface with their classmates or the instructors in clinical situations in some of our health-related fields, and teaching situations where students need assistance in the classrooms that they go out to for their practical experiences. We make sure that all those things are covered, and then they follow up with them consistently throughout their time here at either institution. They schedule regular meetings. They talk to them, how are things going? From the minute they start and engage with us, we really want to make sure the students feel supported, empowered, in addition to having the things that they need to be successful in whatever it wants to be here on campus, if it's in a student organization, in a classroom, or just being accessible to move through building to building across campus. We really want to hit all the needs our students have. Amanda talked about it in the counseling area. There are things that are available to students now that we weren't even thinking about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And so our folks, a big part of their responsibility is getting trained regularly to make sure that what are the latest updates on things from hearing aids to e-readers and things like that vocalize and scan over page and then audibly put that back into the students here so they can go ahead and keep track of things. And so in addition to where we are now, we're kind of looking forward to see what's that technology of the future to make sure we have it available for the students.
Awesome. Yeah, critical resources for those students, definitely. And, there are some, I would call them maybe a little bit lighter, more casual support services that you guys offer as well, resources in that way. I guess I'm thinking of things like maybe students need a place to relax between classes, or if they're having a rough day, maybe they're looking for, meaningful mingle time with peers, things like that. And I know you all supply those resources too. Mostly they take the form of like physical spaces on campus, the Zen Den, the Veterans Lounge, things like that. Amanda, why is it important for the Office of Student Life to provide access to those spaces, and how are those spaces designed to support students?
Yeah, this is an exciting topic, Blake, because this has been brand new the last year and a half or so that these spaces have come into fruition. The Veterans Lounge was kind of the leader. We wanted a space for our veterans to feel like they could go and collectively come together, whether it's veterans or veterans' families, And it's a great space that has, couches. I know that there's sometimes workshops in there to help the veterans with like resumes and things like that. We see a lot of students use it. It's a great quiet space to study. Maybe they want to go in there and talk to each other about some shared experiences, or maybe they're just having a hard day and just need to get away from everything. It's down our student engagement suite at the very end, so it's kind of away from everybody. The meditation space has always been there, but we did revamp it over the summer, so it's a lot roomier now. And we have movable dividers in there because we were really thinking about students needing a place to pray or meditate. We were seeing students in the hallways or in the stairwells, and that's not conducive. With the meditation space, the lights are down low. We have prayer rugs and things in there, and it's just a really calm space. The Zen Den is probably my most favorite room because I helped create it with our counseling team. It is a really cool space. We took an office and we completely transformed it, ripped out the cabinets and got calming colors painted. But there's just comfortable furniture. It's a vibe. It really is a vibe.
Nice.
We have weighted animals that we just put in there, weighted stuffed animals. We have weighted blankets, regular blankets, really low, cool lighting. We have noise machines and waterfall fountain type thing. It's really a space where a lot of us go. Sometimes
not just students utilize
not
that,
just students. I know I've used it after a hard day in the pantry. I found John there a few times. And our students absolutely love it. And we're already planning future. We're trying to look for another spot to build another one on the other side of campus.
Oh, wow.
Our commons room, we took it and changed it from a lounge area to a study room. So 201 in Warner is a study room now. There's tables and chairs. It's very much set up to be a study space, a quiet space, as we try to keep all the quiet spaces on the second floor since the testing center is there. And we took all that furniture and things that were in 201 and moved it down to our game room, which you can find off the dining area.
Yeah.
And that has turned into a really fun space. I know McKenna holds a lot of her brain breaks in there and things like that. Students love it. You can be loud in there. You're not going to get in trouble for being loud in there like you would upstairs. So really a lot of fun spaces so students can get different experiences.
Fun spaces, quiet spaces, anything they could ask for.
Yeah.
I think, and you touched on it too, you teased it, a very impressive space and an ever-growing space really is the food pantry, the Campus Corner Food Pantry.
Yes.
McKenna, as established, like me, we're kind of been on the campus here for about a year around this time. What was your first impression of the food pantry?
Yeah, I came from a campus that had something similar. And so when I heard we had a food pantry, I was expecting something that's, in a room that students can walk into from time to time and grab a snack, which is the pantry that I had previously. And oh boy, is it a massive operation.
Sure is.
I was so impressed when I walked in and saw everything that Amanda and the student workers were doing with that food pantry, the reach that it has, the impact it has on campus for our students. Just being able to see them provided that security, that basic level of security to have, food on the table is so critical and so amazing to see in practice. Amanda's definitely the person to hear more about it from, but definitely just witnessing it has been awesome.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of those sentiments. What a great resource, and I know expanding access to the resource has been a huge focus over time. Amanda, again, you deserve the lion's share of the credit for a lot of this, but since the Campus Corner Food Pantry was established here on the Newark campus in 2017, how would you describe its evolution?
Yeah, so this is actually really exciting too, because in 2017, I was a student here at COTC. And I remember seeing flyers go up around campus when it was opening. It actually started in Warner 250, which is the classroom, and the back cabinets. So it was like kitchen cabinets in the back. That's where it was. When I got back here as a staff member about 4 years ago, it was in a tiny little room. It had moved to a tiny little room down our student engagement suite, actually. Now we call it our storage room, our Doom room. It kind of transitioned over to me, and since then, it has just exploded.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm shocked by how much it's grown, and it really has been a team effort. My student employees, other people in the office, it's it's been with all hands helping it grow. But we have now moved again, and we're outgrowing our space again.
Yeah.
We added a new ordering system. Before we did everything by hand. Since we've implemented Pantry Soft, which has been amazing, it does all of our inventory for us. We just put it in. Students can order like it's a storefront, which is really neat. So we make sure we always photo the items that we have in stock. So when they're ordering, they can see exactly, what the item is that they're going to get. We've recently implemented more personal care items. We have household cleaning items like laundry soap and dish soap. And sometimes we get random cleaning stuff. We have makeup and, grooming tools and things like that. Sometimes we just got a bunch of toys this week.
Yeah. I was thinking baby care items in there as well.
Baby cares. Yep. We have formula right now. We got formula from the Food Pantry Network, but we also carry baby food, baby snacks. Sometimes we get diapers and wipes, which is really nice. But to see all these categories just expand has been an amazing thing. And I've actually had to create a new position in my student employees for a student manager, just to have extra hands to help. We just recently released a newsletter, which will be going out weekly with like item of the week, which is stuff we have a lot of, and just how you can use it in new ways. And we have a lot of big plans moving forward, potentially another big move, because we're out of space. And then potentially adding some new resources to help our students, because we want the pantry to be more than just food. We want it to be a place where students can come and get all the resources they need, or the majority of the resources they need, in a way to help them be successful on campus.
Yeah. I've been blown away personally by the accessibility of this. You're streamlining the process to make it easier. And one thing I think that really speaks to the growth of all this is that process applies to COTC's extended campuses as well. So how is the Campus Corner Food Pantry actually facilitated at these extended campuses? Can you walk me through like what you actually do, what material steps you take to make this resource accessible to COTC students everywhere? Yeah,
absolutely. So COTC students on all the campuses can order the same way by going online. They place their order, same process as this campus. The only difference is that we then have our courier deliver their order out to those extended campuses. And then those students can contact the front desk person at each of those locations to make sure their order is there and schedule a time to come and pick it up. So the only difference is that they don't come here.
There you go. Wonderful. A lot of boots on the ground to make this happen. That's awesome. Well, I can tell that you clearly care so deeply about the mission of this resource, the food pantry.
Absolutely.
And really your department as a whole, I think, clearly cares about all these health and wellness oriented services and resources. Those needs undoubtedly, I think, take priority in the hierarchy. But once those are met, there are some social support services that are also available to students. I would say that's kind of the next step in this life cycle, right? So, and we're talking about opportunities to get involved on campus. Recreational sports, intramural sports, very popular here. That falls under your guys' supervision as well in the Office of Student Life. We'll save those details, again, teasing a later episode. We're going to have a Newark Collabcast podcast episode that'll be directly focused on those. So we'll save that for a later time. But there are other ways for students to engage in campus life. And McKenna, I know you're somebody here on campus who's so focused on creating opportunities for connection and participation. I know you feel very strongly about this idea. Why is it so valuable for students to get involved during their time here on this campus?
Yeah, I love talking about this. A lot of times when we talk about student involvement, they think of it as an extra thing, something that those overachievers do on campus. But really, it's not extra. It is an essential part of the value you're paying for in college. Your tuition dollars aren't just about classes. They're also about these, activities and involvement opportunities that we find across campus. Higher rates of involvement are linked to better academic performance. They're linked to higher rates of satisfaction with your college experience. They're linked to overall well-being. There's also a tie between the more involvement you have on campus, the more hireable employers will find you.
How about that?
So you have a lot of not just, personal value, but also that extrinsic value, in that employers down the road are probably going to look at you a little closer if you have an involvement section on your resume. But it's really important to developing, your independent sense of self. There's this idea of self-authorship, which is your ability to define yourself, your identity, and your viewpoint internally. So growing up, we rely on those external factors to identify or to define how we view things and how we view ourselves. But as you grow, you need to make that shift to be able to make those definitions internally. And one of the key ways that they have found that we develop that sense of self-authorship is by going out into our communities. So finding new communities to be engaged with, being part of student organizations on campus, finding those communities, being exposed to different viewpoints and people from different walks of life. That is a key factor for determining future success. So the more involved you are now, the better it is for you in the long run, the more you'll discover about yourself, and the more value you're going to get from your current college experience. So yeah, overall involvement is just a critical part of the college experience.
Yeah, period. You explained that very well. And what are some ways that students can get involved? What can they get involved in? What are some specific examples of student organizations that exist here?
Yeah, we have 23 active student organizations. I won't name them all, but we do have, our academic and our honors society. There's PTK, which is Phi Theta Kappa, I believe. Yeah, Phi Theta Kappa on the COTC side. There's a lot of different academic and career-based groups, like Alpha Delta Nu is a nursing society. Theta, or the Engineering Technology Association, is our engineering technology association here on campus, and they are a really popular group that a lot of our students are involved in. We also have special interest groups and hobby groups, things like the Tabletop Role-Playing Club, the Crochet Club, that's another really popular one. And then we have our identity-based groups like the Pride Out Loud Club and the African Student Association to help build a little more community here on campus. So we have a wide variety of student organizations. If there's anything you're interested in, there's a good chance there's something that's already here on campus for you that you can get involved in. But if not, we're always open to more student organizations. The process is actually pretty simple. All you need to get a student organization started is 5 students who are willing to participate in some way, 2 student officers, a president and a treasurer, an advisor who is either a full-time staff or faculty member, and then a constitution, which is just a document telling us, what your organization is about and what it takes to be involved in that organization. And then you get, funding from our office to put on your events, and you get access to campus spaces. So I highly encourage any students that have an interest in being a part of an organization but don't see that organization already here on our campus to get in touch with our office about getting that organization started. Chances are, if you have that interest, other people on campus also have that interest and want to be involved with you.
There's truly something for everybody. And if it's not here, you have the option to create that. So I appreciate you outlining that process for us. Awesome. Yeah, student organizations are probably the main avenue to involvement here on campus. But I say getting a job on campus is another great way to get involved, make some money, familiarize yourself with the campus, get to know people. And the Office of Student Life is a major employer of students on the Newark campus. Amanda, put that in perspective for me. How many student employees do you manage, and what kind of jobs do they do?
So currently I have 17 student employees. They do anything from working in the food pantry, obviously, is a big piece. They help McKenna with events. They do random tasks. They cover the front desk of the office. So a lot of times they're answering phones. They're the first checkpoint students see. So it's a peer-to-peer instead of a peer to someone who's older or not a student. They also watch our source room, so they manage our Zen Den and our meditation space.
Okay.
They also help out in our OOD office up at the front. So a lot of them who sit up there are the first person that a lot of students see when they come upstairs in Warner on the second floor. And they also manage our commons area, so the study space, our quiet spaces. I've now had 2 students turn into mascots, TC, for COTC, and they were Ohio State students at that.
Okay.
And then I have a COTC student who's going to play TC in a few weeks. So those are just random things that come up. Some other things they might do. So if you see them around campus, they're probably hanging flyers or maintaining our bulletin boards around campus, checking the mail. But one piece of student employment that I think is really beneficial is in most offices, you can do your homework. I know in my office, as long as your tasks are done for the day, you can sit and do your homework while you're working. I was a former student employee, so I see the benefit in that. It's really helpful. I highly recommend student employment. I can't say it enough, because not only are you getting paid to work and do your homework and do these things and getting more involved on campus, a lot of our students come to us and they don't even know the resources we offer. And I've seen several of them get connected just because they became student employees to the resources we have. But in addition to that, you make friends as a student employee.
Yeah, certainly.
You meet people that you probably wouldn't have met otherwise. I know my group, as rambunctious as they are very close friends. You build a relationship. And then I also help them with like professional development stuff. I mean, I've had students come to me with no office experience whatsoever, and now they could go run an office themselves. You know, there's a lot that you can learn in a student employment position that you might not learn somewhere else. It really is an amazing experience to work in a campus job anywhere, not just in student life, but anywhere on campus.
Yeah, but your office is providing lots of these opportunities.
lots of opportunities.
And it sounds like it's mutually beneficial, right?
Yes.
It's obviously beneficial for them, but you all take advantage of that as well, and it helps the functioning of your office. John, I want to get you involved in this part of the conversation too. How critical are the student employees to, the smooth operation of what you all do over there?
They're essential, and a student job is being involved. It's engaged on campus in some way. The other part for us, our students end up being some of our best ambassadors or liaisons to the student body. There are a number of students I know for either counseling, disability services, students who wouldn't have gotten to us, but they were eating with someone, and someone said, I was having this problem and I don't know where to go. And the student said, oh, actually, I work in that office where X can happen, or you can come in. And so by them coming and knowing what we do, they go ahead and spread that out among their other students, among their friends, among their colleagues, among their classmates. Again, I've had faculty come up and talk to me about, we talked about something that we didn't think was available on campus, and the student raised his hand and said, actually, I work in the Office of Student Life, and we do this, this, and this. And so in addition to the work that they do and the flexibility and the energy that they bring to the office, I think for us, maybe one of the most important things they do is take what we do and spread it. We know students are the best communicators with other students, regardless of how we try to, we talk about emails and social media, things like that. Some students don't want to hear things from an old guy like me. One of their peers can say the same thing to them, and it resonates a lot more. And so for us, we like to educate, get our students as involved as possible so they take that knowledge and spread it out throughout the rest of campus and the rest of the student body.
Totally. Yeah, our marketing efforts could not even touch the touch point that peer-to-peer connection is
Absolutely.
There. That's a great way to say that, yeah. We're talking about student jobs, obviously, and you all, of course, the students as well, are not just emphasizing on-campus jobs, but finding a job once these students leave the campus. Amanda, you brought up professional development along the way. I know you recently took over the career development and experiential learning branch of your department here. What kinds of professional development resources is your office providing students these days?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to say I took it over temporarily.
Okay.
until it's replaced. But
still doing the work, though.
Still doing the work. So we do workshops. We're working on a LinkedIn and resume workshop. We partner with marketing for that to get students professional headshots, which is really important. Mm-hmm. You really do need that professional headshot to set yourself apart. It was crazy. I was at a career fair helping the previous person in this position and did not realize how many students didn't know what LinkedIn was. Wow. It was mind-blowing. So that's where we kind of looked at that and said, this is something students need to be aware of. This is going to help them get a job or an internship or things like that. Students can come to the office and schedule time with me to sit down and do resume reviews. And during that time, I also review their LinkedIns at the same time. We do career fairs, like I mentioned. We really look at what the students need right now and what's going to help them get where they need to go. One of the programs that we implemented with the previous person and that I have taken over is our Goodwill voucher program.
Yeah.
So a lot of our students, they don't have the money to go get nice dress clothes. Why do we want to get nice dress clothes that we might wear once or twice? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so this Goodwill voucher program allows them to get a $25 voucher to any Goodwill in Licking or Knox County, and they can go and get their professional clothes basically for free. And I highly recommend them doing that. But a lot of this just comes from talking to the students and saying, like getting the idea. No one knew what LinkedIn was. Well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
those kinds of things. It's really listening to the students instead of trying to come up with all these ideas on our own. It's student-led.
Yeah. And the approach really, even though these student populations are quite different, even so, these initiatives are aimed at benefiting every single student on the campus. So Amanda, back to you. How are those career development, experiential learning services designed to benefit every campus student, regardless of which institution they attend?
Yeah, absolutely. So even though we do have two different populations, they're all looking for the same types of jobs.
Yeah.
So that is still beneficial to both sides. The one difference is our COTC students might have more work experience and skills that they've built up versus our Ohio State students.
Definitely.
So just trying to work with them as to what's important to put on their resume versus what's not so important. Where our Ohio State students, maybe they need to rely more on their campus involvement or their volunteer work. A lot of them are going into internships from the Ohio State side. So that's the big piece that I deal with on that side. Whereas COTC students, they've worked before, so they have an idea of where they're going. Also, a lot of the COTC students already have a resume. It just needs cleaned up and polished. I have seen some Ohio State students come in from high school with high school resumes and trying to get them to switch to a more professional style or a more professional way of thinking versus their high school. So that's how we differentiate, but really it's the same thing. You're going for the same jobs.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of making your resume and your LinkedIn match what they're looking for.
Regardless of where you're planning to end up, you're hoping that this campus helps you take that next step. That arm of your department is clearly doing good work. And once these students find employment, they're likely to kind of move on from this campus, and that, I would say, signals the end of the life cycle as we've covered here. Your department, this Office of Student Life, I would say, provides a touch point at every single step of this cycle. In doing the work that you all do, I'm pretty confident that you've seen firsthand the value, the impact of these services and resources that you all work to provide. I'm hoping that you could share a specific example or examples of students who have taken full advantage of this gamut of resources and how it's affected their experiences on campus. McKenna, again, you're still relatively new here. I know you're building some of those relationships, so maybe we'll take a rain check on your response here. But John, I'll start with you instead. Any captivating student stories that you'd be willing to share?
Absolutely, and I could think of dozens, but I do think one that jumped out, and we were actually talking about this particular student walking over, ironically enough. Omer was one of our students who really touched on every gamut of student engagement on campus. He came in as a student, heavily involved as a student leader in our student organizations. Actually started one student organization on campus. He didn't take a job. He worked in Adena Fitness Center, worked his way up to the student manager position in Adena. Had a lot of responsibility, things like that for the work in that area, and was really, really trusted, got a lot of responsibility there. He then took his time starting a student organization. He ran for a while when he was here, one of our biggest campuses, his Easter egg hunt became a very, very popular event around campus. And he took the time and made the connections to hide eggs everywhere, probably still finding some of those eggs today. And now he graduated, he's moving forward, looking to starting professional school soon, but now he's actually doing some work in the community at one of our COTC at the Pataskala campus. He reached out and helped students who are learning English as a second language. And so he's a student who was really connected with us all from the first moment he got to campus. We had the benefit of having him here throughout his undergraduate experience. He was in one of those programs that allowed him to stay all 4 years and not transition to Columbus. But in that time, he made a huge impact, brought other students to our office as far as engagement, recruited student employees for the Adena Fitness Center, and now, even after graduation, is giving back to helping our COTC students. So I think, for me, that's a great example of how a student who really understood the cost-share nature and how we touch students in a lot of different facets, he really took that to heart and learned and grew with it. And now, even though he's graduated and moved on, he's still reaching back and helping us out now.
Yeah. What a fantastic ambassador for the campus and the cost-share nature of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. Amanda, what about you? Any students you're willing to shout out here?
I will shout out Chelsea. I've known her whole career here since a freshman. She came in with not too good of a high school experience. So she was kind of afraid being a college student, how that would translate. She was homeschooled for a bit. So coming to campus was a big deal. It was a big change. But I've seen her grow and thrive and just really come out of her shell. She started out I think she's worked almost every student employee job on campus that she can. But she came to me as a student employee 2 years ago. And she has worked her way up to be my student manager of the food pantry. That position was created because of her, because of all the work she was doing. And I said, this is a beneficial position for now and in the future. She runs the Active Mind student org, so it's all about mental health and mental health initiatives. She came to me, she was one of the ones who had no office experience. She's going to kill me for saying this, but I will say it. She came to me not even knowing how to use whiteout. So we taught her a lot of things, a lot of small things.
Grown a whole lot, huh?
She's grown a whole lot. I always joke I'm going to get her one of those Girl Scout sashes when she graduates and put all the new tasks she's learned on it.
Nice and full.
Nice and full, yeah. She spoke at convocation, this last convocation. Students still come up to her and go, hey, you were the one that talked about 21 Pilots, because that's her favorite band. So to see that is really amazing. She was our first TC student employee, the shortest TC ever, actually. She played TC for our Italian immersion students who came 2 years ago. Just to see her grow so much and to know she's about to graduate and go on to her master's program, but she's going to stay with us. We get to keep her for another year, which I'm very excited about. I'd say she's probably the most well-rounded leader that we have right now with just everything that she's done. And she's been like my right hand for so long now that I'm not ready to let her go. But I'm excited to see where she goes because I don't think she's done with us when she graduates. Yeah. She's someone who I could see coming back to campus and being one of those, like myself, a student who returned to be a full-time staff, just with all of her passions. Yeah. Just a really big deal to see her grow and come out of her shell and not be that shy person that she was when she started.
Yeah. Wonderful. And I know that's a unique situation that she's able to stay on campus here for her master's program. I think that really speaks to the impact that she's had. I think it'd be fun to continue watching her build that legacy. And I think that's proof of concept for what McKenna had spoke about earlier and the importance of getting involved and the confidence that she had developed in just becoming the true leader that she is. I think that speaks perfectly to McKenna's points earlier. So shout out to those students and these stories. These experiences would not be possible without you three and the fantastic team that you all represent. So thank you all for your efforts on campus. And for our purposes today, thank you all for sharing your expertise with us.
It was a great time. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So thank you all at home for listening. That's all we got for this episode. We hope you'll keep tuning in every month as we cover topics that concern our collaborative campus. Until our next episode drops, learn more about this collaboration in our campus's cost-shared model by visiting go.osu.edu/55partnership or go.cotc.edu/55partnership, and follow our institutions on social media to keep up with all the great work being done on the Newark campus. You can find Ohio State Newark at Ohio State Newark, imagine that, and COTC at COTC EDU on all social media platforms. Yeah, that's all we got. On behalf of our guests today, I'm Blake Baker saying thank you again for listening. This has been the Newark Collabcast. We'll talk to you again soon.